welcome to Cover Story. Today we are joined by BJP's Rajya Sabha MP, Dr. Subramanian Swamy. He is also someone in his own right who creates a lot of headlines, much beyond, I think, the party, and he's the crusader into a lot of cases. In fact, the INX case that is making the headlines is something that was started by him. But before we go on to that, Dr. Swamy, I would like to talk to you about another headline that you made recently. I think you were speaking in Bombay about an Indo-Israel event.
Right, Bombay University.
Bombay University. And there you said you compared Hinduism and
Zionism.
Zionism, and you said, you know, that
Hindutva and Zionism, yeah. Okay.
So now Ashish Nandi before that has come up by saying Hindutva and Hinduism are two different concepts.
Yeah, Hinduism is theology. Hindutva is literally means Hinduness. And that includes cultural behavior, etiquette, you know, a whole lot of things. Your attitude to your parents, your attitude to your family, your wife, your children. So there is a marked distinction between the way we behave with each other and with our family and towards our elders from the Western world or any other culture. And so Hindutva is a quality of being a Hindu. Whereas Hinduism is actually the theology, Vedas, Aranyakas, Brahmanas, Upanishads, you know, those things. And what is our concept of God, what is Shiva, what is Durga. So he's right to that extent, unless he wants to make out one is bad and one is good.
I think that was the whole idea, but we are getting the thing. But after the lecture, I want, you know, there's been a whole, as usual, you created a controversy. As many as 40, what do you say, liberals, or Nayantara Sahgal, a whole lot of people.
The Tolerance Brigade.
Yeah, you've ruffled a lot of feathers with what you said. So what exactly did you say over there that has got them so upset? First, tell us what you said.
Actually, ironically, this was before my speech. It was circulated to the media before even the meeting started. And I had no advance press note or anything like that. They objected to the idea that in India, Zionism is not a religion. Right. That is Judaism. Zionism is like Hindutva. It is the quality of being a Jew in Israel. So, therefore, what they were objecting to is that Israel is a fascist, Nazi. I mean, these people who went to gas chambers are being called fascists and Nazis. It's ridiculous. So they say that it's polluting the broad liberal Hindu concept, and you know they are vulgarizing it and so on. That's the kind of thing.
Accused you of the fantasy of Israelizing India.
Yeah, that's
is a prize won for his regime and its supporters.
Yeah, well, I am a supporter of Israel from day one, from long time. The issue is Israel is unconditionally pro-India, whatever their reasons might be. But the fact is that they have no disputes with India. They have things which we don't have. They have knowledge about terrorism which no country in the world has. Even the Americans rely on them. And they are willing to give India all this, including technology like desalination of seawater, drip irrigation, you know, making cows give 11,000 liters of milk per year instead of 200 that the Indian cows give just now.
But here they're saying the weapons that Israel field tests on Palestinian bodies are today being deployed in Kashmir. Yeah. So there is a whole thing that the Israelization is happening in Kashmir, what they are doing to Palestine.
You get killed by a bullet or a rocket, you get killed. I mean, I don't understand how they can make a difference between Israeli arms and it's like the Nazis used to say there is Jewish physics because Einstein was a Jew and one of the greatest physicists. So they said they made a distinction between German physics and Jewish physics.
So what is it that you said that got them also upset?
I think this whole idea that the Hinduism is now, Hindutva is broadening and it's getting internationalized. And so far they have had a free hand in the international plane to attack us. But now they find that Hindutva forces are spreading worldwide. and taking it through the form of yoga, meditation, even prayers. And now the Hare Ram, Hare Krishna has got also a big fillip in that. So they feel that this is, it's like there must be, most of them are left wing, and they must be very sad that today the Communist Party is reduced to one MP in Parliament, you see, from where it was and where it is gone. So I think the fear of being swallowed, that's what is the problem.
Explain the timing of 370 as in connected with the withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan. Was there any connection?
No. That is artificial. That's got nothing to do with it.
But
there was a review.
We,
there was a review in which all the Sangha Parivar people were there, the top leaders of it. And I believe, because I was not in the meeting, so whatever was told to me, I'm telling you. Believe that there was a lot of unhappiness expressed that despite highly successful image projection of India and successful foreign trips of Narendra Modi, the core ideology has been given the back seat. And our memories of what happened to Vajpayee, Vajpayee was a loved individual, very popular with you guys, especially the Tolerance Brigade and all that. He was an easygoing man. But in the end, despite his feeling that we are going to win the election, so advance the elections, 6 months he advanced the election and said India is shining. And everybody was saying, oh, Vajpayee will get an absolute majority. Yeah. But we ended up with half the seats we had before. So that's because the worker is the one who goes to the booth. And he can't be forced to go, can't be commanded. RSS cannot command its Swayamsevaks, you have to go. But they can suggest. But they were saying, nothing has been done for us. And in fact, the Shankaracharya of Kanchi was so upset that Vajpayee wouldn't allow the undisputed land in Ram Janmabhoomi to be provided to the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyaya Samiti and Vishnu Parishad to start building the temple and wait till for sanctum sanctorum, wait for the court judgment. So I think it was made clear, according to what I have been given to understand, that we have to now, we're in the very first year, start implementing what has been pending for years.
All the promises.
And that was the first thing that I think. The question was, you didn't have 2/3 majority, but then my argument was there. You don't need parliament at all. It's a notification by the president, who gets a draft of what he has to notify from the cabinet. And that was finally accepted. In fact, I was even consulted on it. And
you spoke in Parliament also.
And then I was asked by the party. I didn't speak on my own. Party said you should speak on it and concentrate on the legal thing, which I did. And so they did it. Now there are other agenda items which we have to implement. I think we have to create an international climate by which we can take POK.
So is that the next target, POK?
That I wouldn't say necessarily next target, but it is a target in which serious work is being done.
So how do we handle this US withdrawal from Afghanistan? I know you have a theory.
Oh, it's a very serious matter. I hope they don't stick to their deadline of 1st September, which is just 2 days away. Originally, even George Bush had offered Vajpayee in 2002 that that time the question of American withdrawal was not there. They said that Poland and so many small countries, so many European countries have sent a small amount of 5,000, 10,000, 5,000 mostly troops to assist the American troops in Afghanistan. So Advani, according to my information, had agreed to it on his visit to Washington. But I don't know what happened when he returned. Vajpayee's government moved a resolution in Parliament saying that the American invasion of Iraq was imperialistic, and it shocked the Americans. So the thing was dropped. This time it has been raised, but I think our typical Indian way of not saying no openly, but roundabout way, I think they were left with the impression that we would do it, and then they sent the defense minister here, Pompey. And at that time, Nirmala Sitharaman was the defense minister, and she made very caustic remarks in a press conference, which hurt them very much. Because I know it, because they told me, the members of their government told me. So, and they have made one or two more attempts to see whether we can fill the vacuum. Because we are already there.
What do we gain by filling the vacuum?
You don't let the Taliban form the government. If Taliban forms the government, they will join with Pakistan and they will together attack you. And that's terrible. Instead of fighting the war in Afghanistan, we'll be fighting on our soil. So, my view is that we should make a deal with the Americans. We are willing to send about 40,000 troops. That's about 2 divisions of our army. And Air Force also. And our equivalent of Marines, BSF, CRP, etc. But the Americans should do 2 things for us.
Which is?
One is they should open their arms warehouse. Take whatever plane you want, take whatever tanks you want, take whatever bombs you want, human cluster bombs, everything, free of charge. And 2, they should permit us to get our land access to Afghanistan, which is only possible if we recover POK.
So that
otherwise, you have to go around to Chabahar and to Iran, and and then from there, it's a very ridiculous route, and will be subject to across the border attacks from Pakistan.
On that note, I'm going to take a break and come back and just shift to another topic that I think you were interested on, the case against P. Chidambaram, the INX case, but after a short break.
Cases.
Cases, okay. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to Cover Story. We are in conversation with BJP leader Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Dr. Swamy, the current case of the former finance minister P. Chidambaram, this is something that you had pursued and is now coming to a head.
From the beginning. Actually, it started this way. I took up the case of the Aircel Maxis, which clearly Mr. Chidambaram's involvement was that in the FIPB clearance, which the bureaucrats, you see, the bureaucrats only do, are the files complete, are the papers all in, are the photostats readable? These are the things they do. They don't recommend anything. They just say these are available for consideration, for approval. Approval is done by the minister. And under the Constitution and Supreme Court judgment, Shamsher Singh case of 1974, Supreme Court has held that whatever approval is given, the minister is solely responsible unless you can show that during the clearance stage money was taken by any of the bureaucrats. So bureaucrats are normally exempt if they have honestly looked at the papers and cleared it and sent it, even wrongly. But the sole onus rests with the minister. So in the process, I began looking at all the FIPB clearances he gave. And I found 25 of them where it was clear that his son was the beneficiary. Money was not taken by him directly. He was told, they told the people pay into Karti Chidambaram's advantageous strategic thing which he indirectly controls. There's another company which controls 95% and he controls 100% of that company. So these are normal things which crooks do all the time. It's called shell companies being created. So money was being deposited in that. So then the question became, there are so many cases, which will take first, and the easiest was INX, because their original clearance was for 5 crores. Then without informing anybody, this Mukherjee couple, they brought in 305 crores. So the net result is that the income tax smelt it. So they gave them notice. These people went running back to Chidambaram So Chidambaram then backdated the FIPB,
Clearance.
and where it was written 5, he put 30 in front of it, so it became 305. And they got caught in that. So he's guilty of forgery, favoring, and of course his son got a lot of money. The good thing from our investigating point of view is that Indrani agreed to become an approver.
Good thing or a bad thing? Because now they are saying, how can you take the word of a murderer against
You have to
former
see
finance
what
minister?
evidence she has given.
Has she given?
Oh yeah, she said which bank account. She doesn't know the name, but she has shown us checks that she or the this transfer of money. She has given a lot of data, and then in the process we discovered 21 more bank accounts. Then his house, Chidambaram's house, and with his son and granddaughter in Cambridge, huge mansion. Then Metro Bank in London, accounts are galore. I think they have got 7, 8 accounts in that. So all this has come out because of her being an approver. And yes, let them try to destroy her credibility, but our stand would be, the prosecutor's stand would be that facts that she has brought is what we have to see. And the court has held many times. It doesn't matter how discreditable a witness is. But if the facts are correct, they can be taken on. There's the famous Bhajanlal case of 1992.
But they also, another thing that raises eyebrows is the judge who passed this thing against Chidambaram, High Court judge, has now been given a position in the prevention of money laundering.
The past chief justices have all been given positions. Who's the head of the Human Rights Commission? Dattu. And he gave a midnight bail, you remember? And then Congress made him Human Rights Chairman. Before that, Balakrishnan, who saved Sonia Gandhi from my forgery at a case against Sonia Gandhi on her Cambridge University degree, which is non-existent. But he became chairman of the Human Rights Commission. How many others have got? I mean, a man is capable. And he comes from a very good family. His father, in fact, was Advocate General for the Congress government. He is known as a congressman. But he is, and whatever he has said, you find fault with that. You can't find fault with the judge without seeing the what.
But to call Chidambaram kingpin, I mean, Chidambaram lawyers
He has a right
arguing,
to have an opinion on that.
No, but see, Abhishek Singhvi is arguing the case against bail. He's made 3 points. He's not at flight risk.
How do we know? Do you think the Malya didn't fly? He was also a member of parliament.
But a little bit of difference between Chidambaram and Malya.
You are willing to take a guarantee? Please give an affidavit. I will allow it to be introduced in the next bail application. That I take a guarantee that Chidambaram won't run away from the country. How do I know?
But then his son is on bail when
so what?
Chidambaram is not. Isn't there?
So Chidambaram cannot be on bail because we need him for custodial interrogation. His son has been through the custodial interrogation, and he spilled the beans because he's an arrogant fellow, so he thought he can bluff his way and finally got caught. He's deeply in it. Now we'll see what Chairman does, and we have not only this case, we have Air India case. Air India case is open shut because Indigo and Go paid 20% less than what Air India paid. Why? For the same plane, identical plane, Airbus. Now how do you get? And it was cleared by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So the chairman was Mr. Chidambaram.
So it's not Praful so much, but Chidambaram.
No, Praful is part of it. He has to say that, like the bureaucrats are saying, I prepared the papers and sent it, but the call was of the committee, and the committee chairman took the stand, and at the best, I mean, Praful Patel get a minor sentence. The major sentence will go for.
So that's the next case.
And even in that, his son has got money. Praful has got no son, who's got money.
So you can prove the money trail to Karti Chidambaram
in
Air India case?
In so many, there are 21 accounts. The volume of material. And that is why the finance ministry in our time, from 2014 to 2019, targeted some of the honest enforcement directorate officers and tried to remove them, even dismiss them. Then the courts reinstated them because I was there. It was my case. So I went to court saying, how can we investigate if these people are dismissed? And that process is still going on. There are still Chidambaram's chelas in our finance ministry.
Yes, I've seen your tweets, so I know who you're talking about in that case. But the another argument made by Sibal, I think, is that the case, he gave the clearance in 2007, but the PMLA Act is being applied retrospectively from 2009.
No, see, Sibal can talk from both sides of his mouth. You can say he said zero loss.
Yes.
I mean, he's laughed out. He can say anything. He's representing his client and he says whatever he wants to say. Which is
he's just being a lawyer.
Which you people pick up loyally and put it in the headline. And so
I'm sitting with you. Where is
No, you means I'm talking about you as a Jamaat. The thing is that, first of all, Chidambaram didn't give clearance, he gave approval. There's a difference. Clearance is that you have satisfied all the requirements, technical requirements, and therefore we are sending it. Whether it's a good deal, bad deal, whether it's cheating or not cheating, all that, and then whether somebody in your family has benefited or not. These are other things. So Chidambaram comes in on that, and there is no time limitation for corruption. Now he says there was no PMLA at that time. So what? But money laundering was a thing. We had a much stronger law called FIRA. So do you want us to invoke FIRA? Then we don't even have to ask for custodial interrogation. Automatically he'll be put under coffee posa in jail without trial. So Sibal, you see, he knows most people don't know any law, so he'll bluff his way throughout, but he's not getting anywhere.
Okay, finally, what caused this whole, people are talking about Amit Shah and Chidambaram, but there's the deeper enmity with you and Chidambaram.
This is all predates Amit Shah.
Yeah, so what?
I filed the cases. What has happened is that the block that was being put on honest officers, I must say, to the credit of the Prime Minister, he made it clear nobody will interfere. And one of his senior-most officers in the PMO has taken this job of ensuring and receiving complaints of any interference in any other thing. Otherwise, previously you had compromised CBI officers also, and the CVC, the Chief Vigilance Commissioner, he himself had a very dubious record when he was in Finance Ministry. He was promoted because of that, and so all that has been cleaned up. And so now everything is moving smoothly.
My final question is, why did you start with Chidambaram? What is the enmity between the two? Where does it go back to? Some people are talking about some Chandraswamy trust that Chidambaram was investigating when you were also on it.
Well, obviously, investigating anybody can do, nothing came out of it.
So, and
I don't know what I'll tell you. I have nothing against him personally because I hardly know him. In my life, I must have spoken to him 3 times.
That is it?
That's it. And we have no connections in Tamil Nadu politics. I was with Jayalalitha, Jayalalitha was dead against him. In fact, if there was anybody who hated Chidambaram,
it's Jayalalitha.
It was Jayalalitha who used to tell me, promise me that you will send Chidambaram to jail. So I told her, I will not promise you. She got angry with me. Why you won't promise me? I said, because I'm anyway going to do it. Why should I promise you?
Give you the credit, okay.
So anyway, she was against him. Most people, today if you go to Tamil Nadu and take a vote, you find people are celebrating that this has happened to him.
So what?
Because of the arrogance of the whole family.
So what happened? What went wrong?
With me and him? Nothing. He was corrupt. That's all.
So just a name you picked up, or is it?
No. See, it happened when during Narasimha Rao's time. It was Narasimha Rao who terminated his ministership on something called fair growth or something.
Yes,
that share thing. So I started with that. There, those days I never argued myself. So I relied on a lawyer, and the lawyer made a mess of the petition that we filed. So there were contradictory things, and so that led to the case being the court asking me to file again. So by then the elections came, and so I left. Yes, there's no doubt that Chidambaram has tried very hard to send me to jail, but he is a very incompetent fellow. First time was in 1997, saying I was a friend of Swamy. Now, I didn't realize that being friends with anybody. I'm friends with a lot of people. If I'm only going to be friends with good people, then there will be nobody. I mean, hardly have any friends.
No friends, huh?
Only if I divine people. Everybody has some minuses and pluses. You see, that's human nature. Then again, in 2011, he tried to get me in under this Hindu terror business. I had written a book on how to fight terrorism, where I spoke about Muslim population who must accept that their ancestors are Hindus, which is, I said, DNA studies show that. So he converted that into a hate speech, which, by the way, Jaitley also did, but he didn't get anywhere thanks to the Prime Minister and Gadkari and some of the other, Rajnath, etc. and so on. They all stood up, and that's how it didn't happen. Otherwise, they were aiming at sending me that nincompoop who became our Attorney General. He had to be told to withdraw his petition. Anyway, the issue is that what he was trying to do is put me under this Hindu terror business by saying that this book, which Manmohan Singh bought 500 copies and distributed to all the embassies to read as the ideal book from India on how to fight defense. I used to go to Defense College to give lectures on that book because it became a text for them, for the National Defense College. So suddenly he picked it up and he tried all the police stations. None of them would refuse, all refused to file an FIR. So he finally filed it in the Home Ministry's anti-terrorist branch police station. He filed an FIR, but then I got it quashed by the Delhi High Court. So he couldn't get very far. At that time I had said, now it's my turn.
And well,
I got my turn.
You've played your move. On that note, thank you so much for talking to us. We really overshot our times as usual. That always happens. But thank you so much.
Okay.
And thank you for watching this show. Well, you know now all the answers to a whole lot of the questions, especially regarding the recent enmity recent case in the INX case and the story between Dr. Swamy and Chidambaram. But that's it. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.